Perhaps living, working and playing in concrete buildings has caused man to lose touch with his environment, to become disconnected with the earth. In this series, we will journey through Britain, Australasia, North America, the Far East and Europe, exploring sacred landscapes and the people who live in them and understand them. Together we'll look at man's relationship with the land and the environment and how, critically, that relationship has changed over the years and why. Today, when we think of God as living in heaven. God is there up in the sky. But to our ancestors, God was all around them. Before the arrival of Christianity, our ancestors believed that the gods inhabited rivers, mountaintops, and groves. God was a very real and present force inhabiting the very landscape in which they lived. I'm here in Kingley Vale in southern England to meet a man who's worked here for 30 years. Richard.
Hello, Peter.
Hello, mate.
Welcome here.
Thank you very much.
What a lovely place you've come to.
Oh, it is. Why do people come here?
A lot of people come here for sort of really spiritual reunion with themselves, I think. They regard this sort of as their church.
This is where they feel spiritually awakened.
Yes, they do. Yeah, they feel calm again.
Time to reconnect.
That's a good word. Reconnect.
I've heard a rumour of some yews, 1 or 2 yew trees.
1 or 2? Is that what you've heard?
Yeah.
There are 30,000.
30,000.
It's the finest yew forest in Europe.
How fantastic.
Yeah.
Oh, come on,
Yep.
let's go and see it.
Let's go and look at it this way. Up here.
Great. This has a real feel. There's a real feel about it at this place. These yew woods.
Well, they're ancient. They're ancient. I mean, they're probably up to 5,000 years old, which is a huge age.
So this is the grandfather tree?
That is an actual grandfather tree. It's a male tree. The yew has male and females, and this one has produced its own children through this branch. This branch is the umbilical cord to its children and its grandchildren beyond.
So this just keeps going? Everlasting life?
Yes, absolutely everlasting, immortal, wonderful. And that's why our ancient ancestors loved this tree and thought it to be magical, because it lived forever.
Here in this sacred grove, our ancestors would have conducted a simple but powerful pagan ceremony. In my left hand, I've got some barley. In my right hand, I've got some oats. And they simply would have scattered it on the ground while saying a simple prayer. This really was a gesture of thanks for their labours and for the bounty that they had received. And they were thanking the perceived giver, the earth. Just that one act sets myself as a Christian completely apart from my pagan ancestry. It may look similar to a harvest festival, but what my ancestors were thinking and feeling at that point was completely different. Where are we now? This just looks like lovely open space.
We're standing on a Stone Age bank and a Bronze Age field bank. And this would have been almost fought over. Families would have fought over this land. It was very, very well used, this place, you know, for the past 10,000 years.
And all the time the yew trees have been watching over them.
And that's one of the reasons why they wanted to live here. As well as being a lovely farm, they had their church next to them. And of course the dead were buried on tops of the hill in those beautiful barrows.
Amazing. Amazing. They're considered by some to be the finest examples of Bronze Age burial mounds in southern England, over 3,000 years old. The thing about burial mounds is that size matters, and when these burial mounds were constructed, they would have been completely white because much of the earth here is full of chalk, and they would have been visible for miles around. But that's the point. They were symbols of status. And the more important you were, the bigger the burial mound you got to lie underneath. So the kings and queens, the warrior princes and princesses that are buried here would have wielded considerable power and influence, would have been men and women of status. We know our ancestors had a much more vivid relationship with the natural world than we now have, because what they have left behind them are vestiges of what they believed to be sacred. The architect, Frank Lloyd Wright, said, "I believe in God, only I spell it nature." And there's a lot more of nature and God to be unearthed in this sacred land.